Hello YouTube, so this is Cat from Set Free and Pass, and today I'm going to be going through my Rikka stroke plant deck and using post February 2022's ban list. So I'm just going to go through the general profile and give a little bit of an overview in terms of just some of the other options. So I'm going to the main deck first. It's probably the most important card in any Rikka build, Rikka Petal. Very useful card. Not only do you allow you to get pretty much everything you want from your deck, but at the end of the end phase, your opponent's end phase, you get to get this back, which allows you to start your plays in the next turn. So really vital you get this card out. Then we got Moodam. So Moodam basically allows you to tribute a plant monster and special summon the card. And if it's special summoned, you can add a Rikka spell or trap card, and this deck's got a few of those. Then we got Primalo. I can't say the name, but essentially this one is the one that when it's when the monster you control is tributed, you can special summon this card from your hand in defensive position, which allows you to start the plays. You can target the 2 plant monsters you control and increase the levels by 2, so it helps you go into your synchro plays and in some cases your exceed plays as well. Snowdrop, another really important card. So when this one's special summoned, you can then bring out another monster and then change the level to match, which again goes into your XE plays and also your synchro plays. Evil Thorn, which is an amazing generic plant monster, which allows you, when you bring one out, tribute it. Your opponent takes 300 damage, and you get 2 out, which ultimately again goes to start your plays. So your Link plays, Exceed plays, depending on it's got Snowdrop out as well, for example, and allows you to do those as well. Spore, which is again another really good card, which allows you to essentially keep bouncing this back. Again, this is going to be another extender in the deck, which starts it off. Lone Fire Blossom. So in terms of a generic plant monster, I think you can pretty much say this is probably the best card in the entire game for plants that anyway. Where if you tribute this, you get to get any plant monster from your deck, regardless of level, as long as you can special summon it out, this gets it, which again is amazing. Then from my particular use of the plants, Scorpio and Cobra. These are great because of the fact when you use the Blossom, when any of the cards search out, you get this one with Scorpio out, which allows you then to get Cobra, which again starts your plays, and you get your Polymerization card, which we'll get into shortly. Rose Girl, another great extender. So if a plant monster you control sends to the graveyard, which this deck does a ton of, you can special this card from your hand. So again, free special summon to extend. And if a plant monster is sent to the graveyard, you can add this to your hand. So you use this once, it goes Link off, and then basically you get it back to your hand. So again, good recyclability. World's Carrot Weight Champion. So anyone who played Dual Links probably about 3 or 4 years ago would have seen this tons, but essentially it allows you to tribute a monster, plant monster, to bring this out in face up type such as again. It gives you a level 4 1900 meter, but also at the same time sends it into the graveyard, which is important for this deck. I then run a Mardell. Mardell is in this, it's by itself, so I'm not using the boss stage in this deck, but essentially bringing this monster out with something like your Lone Flyer, and then it gets you a search for any plant monster. At the same time, 2400 blade stick with a high level, again, for if you want to go with that. Violet Seed, because of the fact I do go into links quite easily, allows me to extend and go into further link plays. Then on to the hand traps. I only run 3, and in this one I'm running Draw and Lock Bird. Personally, I found more use this because most decks tend to struggle more if you hit them with the ability to not draw. But you could have Ash Blossoms in there separately, but just in my particular build, prefer Draw and Lock Bird. It's been doing quite well. So then the next one is then my Monster Destruction. So I'm running 2 Raigekis, but I do run 1 Lightning Storms. If I had 3 Lightning Storms, there'd be a debate here, would I run 3 of these and none of these? Probably would. In this particular one I only own 1 Lightning Storm. The 2 Raigekis do come in handy because of the fact this deck does struggle with getting real monsters. So if you've got masses of a monster against on the field, like an Appaloosa, you're not going to get around, so Raigekis do help on that side. However, if I did have a choice, I'd have Lightning Storm in my deck. But in this case, that's not a choice. And then I do have a generic one, which is Harvest Duster, which if you can run it, run it. Monster Reborn, most generic of all Monster Revival. I've been running this pretty much every deck since I started. 1 for 1, I run a load of level 1s with Evil Fawn, then with Rikka Petal being 2 of the main ones, and obviously it starts your players. So with the Predator plans, I use Instant Fusion, which Instant Fusion allows me to go into my generic fusion monster, which I'll show you in my extra deck. Again, great for extending plays, so you can get out to a link 3 or a level 5, I believe it's level 5, level 6, whichever you'll see shortly. Rikka Glamour. So I run Rikka Glamour, which essentially allows me to 1. Use some of the effects attributing my Rikka monsters, but also then search it. So if I get rid of them, I'm generally getting a +1 from this. So great from that perspective. And from draw power, I use a Pot of Avarice. Pot of Avarice is great in this deck because of the fact the majority of this is, like I say, extenders. So you are going to be tempted to put a lot of monsters in the grave. Don't get me wrong, I don't own any Prosperities, and I probably would run 2 in this deck. I would probably take the Avarice out and then probably run the Raigekis, for example, out of the deck in order to run them, but I find Avarice works quite well, especially if you can't afford the Prosperity, because they are nearly £100 cards at this moment in time. But yeah, that's the main deck. Like I say, my main strategy around is usually just extending to go into a combo, so this is a very combo deck. Okay, I have gone to my extra deck, so I have 1 fusion monster, which is a sea monster of Fayas. So obviously this is what I use with my instant fusion, which helps extend my plays. Then got my first link, which is Appaloosa, because I tend to go in quite a few monsters, so I'm always going to be able to usually get at least 3 or 4 monsters out, including a link 2, due to Jasmine. So Jasmine being the generic monster I tend to go in multiple times, so that's why I've got 2, which allows me to tribute 1 plant monsters, get another 1 from my deck, get another 1 out basically, which allows me to basically switch between, allowing me to get into Lone Fire, for example, to be able to get out something from my deck makes plays a little bit easier. Rush Sheep's in there because if I link into something before I use Instant Fusion, it allows me to essentially special summon the plant monster, which again could extend my plays out further, like a Lone Fire or an Evil Form, for example. Then I've got Halkin as well because I've got running Synchro monsters. This allows me to not only get my tuner out, which I have a few in my deck, it also allows me to go into my Synchros, which, speaking of which, I have TG Wonder Magician, which works quite well with Hulk because of the fact that Hulk will potentially bring out this destruction, which can then also link out, which I can go into Savage Dragon for multiple negates because I have quite a few high link monsters in there. I've also got Herald in there as well for the ability to negate, because I can get this out quite easily. Don't use it for its ritual monster ability. Then I have Rikka Queen, which works really well with Aurea. So I bring out Rikka Queen, be able to get out Aurea quite easily, which then if I use this with Snowdrop, discard this or take it from the field, which allows me to get 8 cards, and for every plant monster that gets taken off the top of my deck, I can then send a monster on my opponent's side field back, which is non-targeting, so it's fantastic to get around those. And I have Kanzashi. Kanzashi is really good because of the fact if you trigger this, you can detach 1 card from instead, and then special summon a monster from your graveyard, but it negates effects. If it's a plant monster that you would control would be destroyed by battle effects, you contribute 1 plant monster from your hand or field instead. So basically a little bit of protection. I run Zeus because why wouldn't you? Loads of XCs. And then of course I run 2 Teardrops. I've tried this as 1 and 3, but 2 tends to be the best. It's the beat stick of the deck, so every time a plant monster is distributed, or in terms of a monster gets distributed, against 200, because your deck basically focuses around distributing not only your own monsters but your opponents. This can get up into the high 3000s, but also the fact that you can target 1 card on the field and distribute it, so it gets around that. It cannot be destroyed because it distributes. So that's the extra deck monsters. The other ones you could use is Dragulian. I think that's number 97, which I don't have, which goes to Numeron. That works quite well on PS because of the fact you have Snowdrop to manipulate levels. And then you've got LC, which also is another card I use, but I find it doesn't work as well as the ones here. So that's the extra deck. Now I'm going to go on to a few options. To go through, like I say, personally, if I had Prosperity, I'd be taking that in. There is a bit of debate about whether to win the Drolls over Ashes, for example, and then running 3 Lightning Storms instead of the Raigekis. Personally, I would, like I say, roll Lightning Storms, but I can see the benefit of it. And then, of course, there is the part of Avarice versus the part of Prosperity. Other than that, I mean, the deck isn't going to win you major events, but it's a lot of fun. It's a combo deck that people don't expect. It plays really well. It is quite quick. As I said, the main problem you have is usually if someone's got a big board which you can't get around, it's a bit of a struggle. So that might be a case of where you need things like Dark Royal No More, for example, to help you get around some of the more tougher matchups. But it's going to be the problem, as everyone knows with this current format, is if you've got a deck which is considered rogue at best, you're going to need a lot of help from your negate cards to be able to get around it. But if this deck starts going, it all goes first, it gets through the hand traps, it's fantastic. It builds up really strong boards which people can struggle to get around, but at the same time you just need to be aware that it's quite fragile. But personally, I find it quite a lot of fun because of the fact that you do get a lot of good plays out of it, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the profile. I'm not going to go into too much detail on some of the bits, but if you leave us any comments saying you want to have any more information about potential side decking options and so on, because I haven't built one for all this, then I'm happy to build another video going through that if that's something people want. But yeah, remember to like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel because it helps a lot, and yeah, just keep watching out for further videos. And this is Kat from Set Free and Pass signing off. Thanks for watching. Bye.